powerful drop. Hello, Emma Stone speaking?
It's okay, you can drop the disguise, it's intelligence here. Ant and Dec have gone missing. We think they've defected.
Oh, surely not. Maybe a little bit overweight.
Get over to HQ right away, the chief wants you to go after them.
Right away.
Meow, 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 meow.
Not yet, sir.
Meow, 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 meow.
Yes, sir. By the way, the PM's on the scrambler.
Meow, 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 meow.
Released in July 2000, Final Fantasy IX is a role-playing game developed and published by Squaresoft for the Sony PlayStation. Unsurprisingly, it is the 9th game in the main Final Fantasy series. Critically acclaimed, it is considered by some to be one of the best Final Fantasy games to date. As of March 2016, it has sold more than 5.5 million copies and has been re-released several times. It is currently playable on PlayStation 1, 3, PSP, PS Vita, PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC.
A journey begins. The fantasy returns. Rated T for Teen. Squaresoft.
The game was in development at the same time as Final Fantasy VIII, that released a year earlier, and was planned to be a retrospective of sorts of the series, as the setting was a return to the medieval style of previous instalments, unlike the settings of Final Fantasy VI, VII and VIII, and was heavily influenced by the original Final Fantasy. The plot centres around a war between nations in a medieval fantasy world called Gaia. The player follows Zidane Tribal, a bandit who kidnaps Alexandrian princess Garnet till Alexandros XVII. As part of a gamble by the neighbouring nation of Lindblum, he joins Garnet and a growing cast of characters on a quest to take down her mother, Queen Brahne, who started the war. The plot shifts when the player learns that Brahne is a pawn of a more menacing threat, Kuja, who shares a mysterious history with Zidane, spanning 2 worlds. Work on Final Fantasy IX had started before Squaresoft had finished work on Final Fantasy VIII, and was developed in Hawaii as a compromise to the developers living in the United States. The development team was fully aware that Final Fantasy IX was going to be the last instalment of the series on the original Sony PlayStation, and so envisioned a reflection on the games that had come before it. Producer and writer Hironobu Sakaguchi said during development it's closest to his ideal view of what a Final Fantasy should be. The development team wanted to make the game's setting more fantasy-orientated than its PlayStation predecessors, and thusly reintroduced a medieval setting. With inspiration taken from Norse and Northern European mythology, it was, according to game director Hiroyuki Ito, because of European history and mythology's depth and drama. A move away from the sci-fi futuristic setting was also due in part to other developers of the game as well as fans of the series. Additionally, the team wanted to create an understandable story with deep character development, as both Final Fantasy VII and VIII had come under some criticism for their convoluted plotlines. Sakaguchi began writing the story for Final Fantasy IX in July of 1998. With its return to its fantasy roots, the creator put a lot of time and thought into the aesthetic of the playable characters. This in turn resulted in the characters looking far more comic book-like than their realistic character designs of Final Fantasy VIII. Whilst the game was being conceptualised, the devs made it clear that the game might not necessarily be a main series entry, as it was breaking from the realisms of Final Fantasy VII and VIII. The team were worried that it might alienate audiences. This got fans theorising that it might be released as a Gaiden side story to the main series. However, Square confirmed in late 1999 that it would indeed be published as Final Fantasy IX, despite developers making several last-minute adjustments to the game and changing the ending several times. By early 2000, the game was almost ready for release.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow.
Why should they want Ant and Dec?
Meow, 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 meow. Saturday night takeaway. Meow, 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 meow.
Of course. With Ant and Dec out of the picture, the British way of life is finished.
Meow, 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 meow. Saturday night takeaway. Meow, 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 meow.
And the news hasn't broken yet.
Meow, 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 meow.
Well, it's an old trick, but it might just work.
Final Fantasy IX is set primarily on the world of Gaia. Most of Gaia's population resides in one of 4 main nations, Alexandria, Lindblum, Bermensia and Clyra, that reside on the Mist continent, named after the thick mist that blankets the lowlands. Alexandria is a warmongering monarchy that controls the eastern half of the continent. Lindblum is a hub of airship travel and is nestled on the plateau to the southwest. Both countries are populated by a mix of humans, humanoid and anthropomorphic animals. Bermensia, a kingdom showered in endless rain, is to the northwest. Clyra, a neighbouring region that seceded from Bermensia due to the latter's appreciation of war, are both inhabited by an anthropomorphic rat-like race with a fondness for dance and spearfighting. Along with the main continents of Gaia, players will also get to explore the outer, lost and forgotten continents that include Kondapeti, the home of the dwarves, the Black Mage Village, a hidden settlement for sentient magical drones, Madain Sari, once home to a near-extinct race of horned humanoid summoners who could conjure magical entities called Eidolons, and the Life Tree, which dispenses a mist to other continents through its roots. This mist stimulates the fighting instinct in humanoids and contributes to Gaia's bloody history. Players take the role of Zidane Tribal, a member of a group of bandits called Tantalus, who are masquerading as a theatre troupe. Whilst in Alexandria, they kidnap Garnet till Alexandros XVII, alias Dagger, the Princess of Alexandria, by order of Cid Fabul.
There's always a Cid.
Garnet does not resist, for she was always planning on fleeing to warn Cid of Queen Brahne's increasingly erratic behaviour. Vivi Ornita, a young timid black mage with an existential crisis, Albert Steiner, a brash Alexandrian knight captain and loyal servant of Prince Garnet, joined the party during the escape. En route to Lindblum, the group discover that Brahne is using a village to manufacture soulless black mage soldiers that look similar to Vivi. In Lindblum, Cid confirms that he hired the group to protect Garnet from Brahne's newfound aggression. After learning that Alexandria has invaded Bermensia with the Black Mages, Zidane and Vivi team up with Freya Crescent, a Bermensian dragoon searching for her lost love, to investigate, whilst Garnet and Steiner secretly return to Alexandria to reason with Brahne. Other members of your party include Kina Quen, a Q whose master wants her to travel the world so that she will learn about cuisine. Eco Carol, a young girl living in Madain Sari, and along with Garnet, one of the last two summoners. And Amarant Coral, a bounty hunter hired to return Garnet to Alexandria. Other characters of note, other than Cid, the charismatic regent of Lindblum,
There's always a Cid.
are Queen Brahne, Garnet's mother and the power-hungry Queen of Alexandria, General Beatrix, the powerful leader of the female Knights of Alexandria, Garland, an elderly Terran male tasked with saving the world, and the antagonist Kuja.
Hey you! Can't be bothered to learn how to code your own website? The idea of spending hours learning AmpTapnet, Dreamweaver or Composer just not interesting to you? Plus you've told that really cute girl in marketing that you know how to make websites? Just fake it with Squarespace! Squarespace is a website building platform that aims to simplify web design. Do you like unexpected changes? Squarespace makes changes to make the website creation experience better for their customers. Unfortunately, those changes may change your website in ways that conflict with your past design choices. Without advance notice, you may also find yourself scrambling to fix what wasn't broken before. Want a multilingual e-commerce experience? Multiple languages isn't a feature offered by Squarespace. Very few SEO options, the inability to automatically optimize your images, and the ability to filter blog posts. All these features and more could keep you up at night rather than going for a drink with that cute girl from marketing if you'd only just spent a few hours each evening learning how basic coding works. I might not be sponsored, but what you can do is subscribe to this channel, click the bell, and leave me a comment down below so that I know people are watching.
In Final Fantasy IX, much like the Final Fantasies that had come before it on the PlayStation, the player navigates through the game world, exploring areas and interacting with non-playable characters on pre-rendered backgrounds, representing towns and dungeons, known as the field screen in Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX introduces the field icon, an exclamation mark appearing over the lead character's head, signalling an item or sign that is nearby that the player can interact with. To save you game progress or restore life energy, rather than a static animated icon from Final Fantasy VII and VIII, players speak with Moogles, where they can also purchase items. Moogles can be contacted on the world map with an item called a Moogle flute, and Moogles may request that players deliver letters to other Moogles via MoogleNet. Players may also receive letters from non-playable characters. Final Fantasy IX offers a new approach to town exploration with the introduction of active time events, ATE. These allow the player to view events unfolding at different locations, providing character development, special items, and prompts for key story-altering decisions. ATEs are occasionally used to simultaneously control two teams when the party is divided to solve puzzles and navigate mazes. The players move from location to location on the world map. This is a three-dimensional downsized representation of Final Fantasy IX's world, represented from a top-down perspective. Much the same as the world maps in Final Fantasy VII and VIII, players may freely move around the world map unless the terrain restricts them, such as bodies of water or mountain ranges. To access these areas, players can either ride a chocobo, sail a boat, or ride an airship. As in all previous Final Fantasy installments, travel, be it on the world map or field screen, is often interrupted by random enemy encounters. When the player encounters an enemy, the game enters the battle screen, with the player on one side of the screen and the enemy on the other. Each battle uses active time battle, which was first seen in Final Fantasy IV. The character's command list is presented in a window opposite the ATB gauge at the bottom left of the screen. While all characters can physically attack the enemy or use items from the player's inventory, they also possess unique abilities. For example, the thief Zidane can steal items from the enemy, Echo and Garnet can summon Eldolons to aid the party, and Vivi can use black magic. As each character sustains damage, the gauge fills up, and when it's full, that character will enter trance mode, similar to the limit breaks used in Final Fantasy VII. The character's strength is amplified and the player can select a special attack commands. Also, in the configuration screen, players can change the battle style from normal to custom, which allows 2 players to control any combination of characters during the battle. However, 2 controllers must be plugged into the PlayStation, giving something of a 2-player mode. At the end of each successful battle, the player is rewarded with experience points. These accumulate until the character gains experience levels. When characters level up, the player's party of characters' statistics for their attributes permanently increase. Winning battles also awards the players money, gil, Terra Master playing cards, items, and ability points, AP. Unlike the previous 2 Final Fantasy entries, Final Fantasy IX revived the concept of character classes. These classes designate the character's role in battle. E.g. Steiner is a knight and is the only character that can use sword skills, and Zidane is a thief and is the only character that can steal from enemies. Also, weapons and armour include special character abilities, and once the character accumulates enough ability points in battle, the abilities become usable without having to keep the item or armour equipped. Additionally, as well as granting abilities, the equipment in Final Fantasy IX determines the statistical growth of the character at that time of levelling up. Abilities are classified into action and support categories. Action abilities, magic, spells and special moves, and support abilities provide functions that remain effective indefinitely throughout the battle.
What have we got to go on?
Meow 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 meow.
Excuse me, Cornish passer-by, could you direct me to Phil's Fish and Chip Shop? Aye, lad, you go down this street until you get to the trout shop, then you take a right, until you get to Cliff's Cream Shop, then you take a left, you go right down there, and there you'll find Phil's Fish and Chip Shop. Thank you. Here, take this for your troubles. Oh, kick in the ankle, just what I always wanted, Hello, I'd like to try the local delicacy.
Certainly, sir.
Delicious. What is it?
It is a drink made from local fruits, processed to a syrupy sweetness by adding herbs and spices. I like to call it Phil's Special Syrup.
What would I call it?
Syrup of figs.
Ooh.
It wouldn't be a Final Fantasy game without a minigame, and Final Fantasy IX's minigame is Terra Master, a card game that can be played with various non-playable characters, NPCs, throughout the game. Players assemble a deck of 5 cards, which they gather by finding them in chests, given as a reward or earned by fighting monsters. Each card has various arrows which point to the 4 sides and 4 corners of the card, and various stats that vary between cards, with rarer cards being more powerful. Players take it in turns to strategically place cards on a 4x4 playing grid, based on the available directions. Battles can occur when a player places a card next to another card, depending on where the player places it. If the defending card has no arrows, whilst the attacking card has an arrow pointed towards it, that card is placed under the player's control. When 2 arrows meet each other, the cards do battle, based on their points value, with the losing card coming under the winning player's control. sometimes triggering combos that put multiple cards in the winner's control. After all the cards are played, the winner is the player who has the most cards under their control, with a draw occurring if they have the same number of cards. The winning player may choose a card from the opponent's deck out of the ones that they put under their control. If the winning player scores a perfect win, however, in which all 10 cards are put under their control, they win all 5 cards from the opponent's deck.
And finally, the music of Final Fantasy IX. It was written by series regular Nobu Uematsu, and Uematsu is said to have spent 12 months producing 160 pieces for Final Fantasy IX, 140 of which ended up in the game. Uematsu cited medieval music as a great influence on the score of Final Fantasy IX. He aimed for a simple and warm atmosphere that incorporated unusual instruments like the kazoo.
During discussion with the game's director, Hiroyuki Ito, Uematsu was asked to compose themes for the 8 main characters, along with an exciting battle track, a gloomy danger-invoking track, and around 10 other tracks. Uematsu was prone to travel breaks in Europe whilst writing the music. To gain inspiration, he is said to have spent time admiring ancient architecture in places like Germany. The high fantasy undertones in Final Fantasy IX allow for a wider spectrum of musical styles and moods, unlike the stark realism of its predecessors 7 and 8. Uematsu incorporated several motifs from older Final Fantasy games into the score, such as the original battle music intro, a reworked volcano theme from Final Fantasy, and the Pandemonium theme from Final Fantasy II. Tantalus's band is also heard playing Rufus's welcoming ceremony from Final Fantasy VII near the beginning of the game. Uematsu has stated on several occasions that Final Fantasy IX is his favourite score. Melodies of Life is the theme song to Final Fantasy IX, and it shares its main melody with pieces frequently used in the game itself, such as the Overworld theme and the lullaby sung by Garnet.
At the time of filming, it's not difficult to get a copy of Final Fantasy IX, and if you're new to the series, Final Fantasy IX is a brilliant place to start. Although I will admit it's probably not the best place to start if you're new to RPGs or indeed JRPGs. Final Fantasy IX remains one of the series' most loved entries, and just like the entries that came before and after it, its soundtrack is one that can be enjoyed both inside and outside of the game. Final Fantasy IX tells a solid story, although I will say that if you are a fan of the series, you'll probably pick up on some story threads that they've borrowed from previous games. In true JRPG fashion, a standard playthrough of the game will take you around about 40 hours, and if you're prone to doing side quests, you can expect to spend about 54 hours in the game. However, if you're a completionist, expect to spend at least 80 to 84 hours in the game.
Ah, so, Special Agent, we meet at last.
Oh, where am I?
Halfway down page 4.
Oh, thank you.
In a disused fish shop, 5 miles outside of Luz.
You'll never get away with this, you unscrupulous twit. What have you done with Ant and Dec?
They are downstairs in my private laboratory. I'm conducting an experiment with them, you see. I'm going to take their brains and remove them, and then replace them with brains of chimpanzees. I'm going to send them back to ITV. Superficially, they will be the same, but they will be incapable of human thought or reason.
It'll never work.
It worked with Laura Whitmore.
You're mad.
I'm not mad.
You're mad.
Not mad. Don't call me mad. That's what they used to call me at school when I went to the Monmouth School for Girls.
Isn't that a girls' school?
Yes, I'm not that mad. But I was different from the other boys, you see. I was good at science. I dreamt of crossbreeding species. I once crossbred a goat and a budgerigar. They said it couldn't be done, but I did it. I called it a budgerigoat. Great yellow airy thing it was. Used to flat round the place, headbutting people. They all laughed at me. Except the budgerigoat. No sense of humour, those creatures. And I sought revenge, so I thought I'm going to change all of the world's highest entertainers into chimpanzees.
Oh, you've made a good start from what I've seen then. But you can't do it with Ant and Dec.
Ah, and who's going to stop me?
I am. Within this innocuous-looking sword I have in my hand, in fact, contains a walking stick. One false move and I shall hit you on the knee with it.
All right, I know when I'm beat. But you haven't heard the last of Dr. Otto. MA failed. Goodbye!
And with that, he leapt out of the window, signed a contract to appear in his own series on BBC Three. and was never seen again. Hope you've enjoyed my retrospective review of Final Fantasy IX. If you did, please be sure to leave me a comment down below and click the old like button. If you didn't enjoy it, then please hit the dislike button and let me know in the comments down below what you disliked about it. If this is the first video of mine that you're seeing and you've enjoyed it, there's a fair chance you might enjoy some of my other videos.
Costs and overall level of effectiveness.
Yari Ashigaru, waste of time. Oh, 3 units of Yari Ashigaru, not a chance.
To beat the enemy, the player must use contemporary tactics, formations, as well as taking into consideration the terrain of the battlefield and the weather to ensure success in battle.
Meow! Meow, meow, meow! Meow!
Please do click the link here to some of my other retrospective reviews, and there's a card in the top right hand corner that will take you to some very British humour indeed. Please do share this video out with your friends, family and other Final Fantasy fans that you might know. Subscribe if you're not for more of this mush, and as always, if you've made it to this part of the video, then thank you very much for watching.